Hello everybody and welcome to another amazing video of DIY investing. Each and every bull market, we have followed the exact same pattern over the 4-year cycle. If we look at each of the last 3 cycles, Bitcoin is synced up to this pattern identically. In this current bull market, I've heard a lot of talking about how this is so different, how we've never seen anything like this in a bull market, and how this is the worst bull market up to this point. I'm here to tell you guys some charts. Where we're at today is set to be one of the most opportune times for investing into the market, and I have all of the charts to break it down and explain why this calendar year is about to be so big in comparison to anything we've ever seen before. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you find any value in this video, please do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to see anything I'm doing with my portfolio long term, links are in the description to go ahead and sign up on my website. With that being said, thank you so much for tuning in. Let's jump right into this amazing video today. Alrighty guys, here we are to start off today's video, and we're going to be going through each and every one of our cycles. We're going to go over the last 2 bull markets for Bitcoin, because this next year is setting up to be the biggest one of our entire cycle, if not all of the cycles combined. Going all the way back here to 2013, I found this pattern that I want to break down to you guys, because I know it's going to help you guys out tremendously when understanding where we're at in the cycle, how much further we still have to go, and where we're really at in the positioning of things. Is this different than prior cycles? Is this bull market worse than the prior bull markets, or are we actually at a better point this cycle than ever before? We're going to go from the peak all-time high, and every 365 days or 1 calendar year, we're going to draw a line. And this is going to share with you guys a pattern that I've noticed that I've been following for a long time, because this is going to be one of the easiest ways to know where we're at in this cycle and how much further we still have to go before we have to take profits. So our first cycle that we're going to be looking at here in 2013, we peaked at $1,150, and the majority of that entire first year was just the bear market. That first calendar year inside of our cycles are going to be bear markets, and bear markets, historically speaking, last almost exactly 1 calendar year. This one did manage to go for one more following low, but it really doesn't matter. The vast majority of the bear market was concluded inside of this 1 year. Now, if we take another data point, we go another 365 days over, this is going to be taking us to the accumulation, which was what we saw here, and then the first breakout and retest of that prior accumulation range. So basically what we saw was the accumulation and then the first higher high of that new trend. That was started right here. That was what happened inside of year 2. So year 1 is the bear market. Year 2 is this accumulation and the beginning of our new uptrend. And then if we come over here and look at year 3, we'll draw another data point, 365 days over. This is pretty much taking us to the point of us getting outside of the prior all-time highs and going into a new all-time high. This year 3 was us uptrending all the way back up near those range highs. And then as you guys can tell, year 4 is where the magic happens and the real upside of our cycle sets in. So more or less, if you're watching a crypto cycle, what we're waiting for is this year 4 mark, the 4-year cycle. We've always been talking about this because we know nothing follows Bitcoin more identically, or what I should say, Bitcoin doesn't follow anything more identically than what we see with the 4-year cycles. Bitcoin can take a long time to accumulate. The year 1 is the bear market, year 2 is the ending of accumulation, year 3 is that slow grind back up to those prior all-time highs. But once that year 4 mark starts, that's where the real fun starts, and all of our money is made inside of that bull market. If we go 365 days over, this takes us almost exactly flush with that prior all-time high, right at the very ending of that massive parabolic move. So this is something I've noticed over our cycles. Not only are we following 4-year cycles, but it's at that year 4 mark that the majority of our profit is actually made. And we can come over here and we can look at every single one of these bull markets as a way, in a reference point, to dictate where we're at today. Even in our last bull market, we followed the same turn of events, where at the all-time high, we peaked, 365 days down is our exact bottom of the bear market. 1 calendar year. This one followed it even more identically than that 2017 cycle did. Now, if we do the same thing, from the ending of year 1 and the beginning of year 2, if we go another 365 days over, this is following the same pattern, although it's just a little bit different, where year 1's the bear market, year 2 is the accumulation, and then the first higher high of that new trend. And then if we come over here into year 3, this is more or less where we go all the way back to those prior all-time highs of that last cycle. We draw another point. This is going to be giving us that same 4-year threshold. Year 1's the bear market, year 2 is the accumulation and then the first higher high. Year 3 is where we make that slow grind all the way back up to those prior all-time highs. We can see these prior all-time highs here. And then it was at the very ending of year 3 and the beginning of year 4 that we once again got that move into price discovery. Obviously, our price discovery move in the last cycle wasn't as parabolic as what we saw in 2017. This one was a lot bigger in comparison. Year 4 is that big leap into new all-time highs that we're all waiting for, because this is where the majority of our profit is made. Even in that last cycle, it was still the same thing, where year 4 is always inside of that move where we're going into price discovery and we're making these great big moves past those prior all-time highs, right? That's what we're looking for in each of these cycles. So if we're coming over here and looking at where we're at today, we can apply the same rules learned, and we can see that, this will give us the best idea of where we're at in comparison to those prior cycles. So if we're looking at our cycle top that occurred in 2021, the end of that year, we go 365 days over, this is going to be giving us exactly 1 year into that bear market. Same thing played out in our last cycle. From the cycle top in 2018 all the way to the cycle bottom was exactly that 1 year bear market. The same thing took place inside of our last bear market. From cycle top to the cycle bottom was 365 days. If we do the same thing, we go another 365 days over. This will give us our secondary data point. So we finish year 1. Year 2 was the accumulation, and then our first higher high of that new trend, just like it was in the last cycle. The only difference was in the last cycle, we made a pretty big breakout all the way up to 14K in that first move, and then had a pretty decent correction all the way back down. So it was a little bit more volatile. However, in this most recent cycle, all we did was accumulate for a couple months and then make that first big breakout. And then we just kind of held that support and resistance flip for a couple months. It was inside of that year 2 mark that we followed the same turn of events, where it's in year 1 you have the bear market, year 2 is the accumulation in the first higher high of the new trend, and then if we go another 365 days over, we're not even quite to that point yet. We're still inside of this year 3 mark. This is really where we're starting that move all the way up to those prior all-time highs, and we've already done that. We did that pretty quickly to begin this cycle. We already rallied all the way up to a new all-time high in March of 2024, the same year. So we saw a much bigger move, but then after we've seen all of this chop. And this is really what's caught people by surprise. Because we've spent all of this time chopping here, not really doing a heck of a lot, most people have gotten so, fed up with crypto that they've moved on, that they're saying that this cycle is worse than any of the prior ones that we've seen up to this point. But the truth of the matter is it's really not. We're sitting here inside of this year 3 at these prior all-time highs. We've technically made a new all-time high. That's something we never did in any of the prior cycles. If we're looking at the last cycle, it was at the very ending of that year 3 mark and the beginning of year 4 that we were at these prior all-time highs about to go into price discovery. So we spent all of the time of year 3 before we got to the point of going into a new all-time high. If we look at 2017, it was at the very ending of that year 3, we still hadn't even hit the prior all-time high yet. So technically speaking, where we're at today is actually at a much quicker point than any of the prior cycles. We're inside of this year 3 and have been inside of year 3, and we've been at this prior all-time high level basically the entire time. Now, the truth of the matter is this, guys. It's inside of year 4 that the real upside potential sets in. We're still a couple months away before we're at that same year 3 to year 4 point. If you guys notice, we're 60 days away exactly before we're at the ending of this year 3 mark. So that's where we're really looking for the majority of our true upside potential to set in into price discovery. And if I had to guess, the way that it's going to look, I honestly think that it's going to play out similarly to that 2017 cycle, where if I come over here and grab the consolidation, I wouldn't be surprised to see something along the lines of this, where we've been consolidating at these prior all-time high levels for a long time, right? Technically, we've made peaks above, but we're still below resistance. We've never been able to make a significant breakout back above that level. So we've just been below these prior all-time highs, consolidating here inside of this year 3. We're only 2 months away before the ending of this year 3 and the beginning of year 4. Year 4 is when, historically speaking, we see all of the new all-time highs. That was the case here to here, and that was the case all the way back here in 2017, here to here. This cycle I expect to be exactly the same, because up to this point, nothing's been different with our bull markets. Everything's been following the same patterns. Now, what I think is going to be playing out, we're going to be making this next big breakout all the way up to 90 and 100K per Bitcoin. And it's at that level that I expect that we're going to see kind of a correction back down, retest these prior all-time highs of this 74K level that we've been holding before we get the real big upside into a new all-time high. I'm expecting a cycle top to take place sometime at the end of 2025, considering, we're just following these same time frames of 4-year cycles. That would be 3 years up from the very bottom of our cycle low, and that would also be 4 years from our cycle peak. There's a lot of things lining up with the end of 2025 being our true cycle top for our bull market. What I'm expecting, though, is once we finish this correction that we've been at for the last 6 months, we're going to make a quick impulse to 100K We'll correct back down to retest that same level, but the real upside potential is going to set in after we get past that same move, because that's when I'm expecting Bitcoin to go to 150 to 250K. Maybe it goes to 300K if we see a ton of adoption around these institutions and these ETFs and things. It's hard to predict that, but what I'm here to tell you guys isn't so much about price predicting. It's here to share with you guys where we're at and where we still have to go. Historically speaking, if you're looking at each and every one of these bull markets, from the cycle top to the point of us going into a new cycle top, it lasts exactly 3 years. At the ending of that year 3, the beginning of year 4, that's where we have historically gone into price discovery and made the biggest move of our bull markets. Every single cycle has been the same way. The ending of year 3, beginning of year 4, that's where price discovery takes place. And we're only 2 months away from the ending of this year 3 mark for the third time that this is going to be playing out. And I really am excited because nothing has changed for me. All the people that are exclaiming that this cycle is worse off than ever before, that this is the hardest cycle we've ever had to go through, Bitcoin's never been this valuable to begin this cycle. We've never seen Bitcoin front run this quickly into a new bull market. That tells me that yes, there is a difference, but the time frames are exactly the same. The only difference is Bitcoin's just actually getting bought up quicker than ever before, which lines up perfectly with this type of an outline playing out as we get more and more parabolic to a true blow off top sometime at the end of 2025. This is what I'm anticipating for Bitcoin. I'm just following the same old cycles that have always played out. The only difference is Bitcoin is getting closer and closer to that point of going into a new all-time high. And with us being right at the ending of that year 3 mark to begin that year 4, and the way that every single cycle is played out at that same threshold, I've got a lot of confidence that we're about to be making a very big breakout into price discovery very soon. So you guys need to be prepared, positioned. If you want to see anything that I'm buying, selling, trading over this time as we're getting ready for that first big breakout, the majority of our profit's going to be made when this happens. And so we're just getting positioned and prepared right now before all of that plays out. So if you guys do want to see what I'm invested in, anything I'm going to be buying, selling, trading, meme coins, NFTs, as well as just legit projects as a whole, all of that gets posted inside of my Discord server. So if you want to sign up and get full access, links are in the description of my website. From there, you're going to be able to get total access to my group, get lifetime access for as long as I'm doing this channel, and there you're going to be able to see everything I'm buying, selling, and most importantly, when I take profits on all of this stuff at the ending of this cycle, where I'm going to rotate those profits, getting out of crypto, moving into other investment markets. That's where you're going to find the real value in that group. So if you do want to actually join that, links are in the description. Thank you so much for tuning in. With that being said, I will catch you guys in the next one. As always, peace out.